Rosario, it's a real pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome.
That's how I get inspired by the people I follow, through the people I follow on Instagram and YouTube to see their work. And I'm like, I want to do that. One day I become the mayor of my city, I would bring art to the streets. The type of restoration I do is not like how can I say, the museum one where you try to preserve the original state, because no, it's more like do it all over.
You decided to come back to your home country. Why was that?
In Honduras, there's still a lot of things to do. So I felt it was a perfect place to do it, like more opportunities, like things that are being done in other countries that are still not done here. So
welcome to Keeping Up with the SASIs, the podcast where we explore the projects, challenges, setbacks, and successes of sustainability and social innovators. I'm your host, Juan Pablo Grimaldi, and today I'm thrilled to welcome a remarkable guest. She's a gifted illustrator, a craft artist, and her creativity has literally left its mark across the floor of Honduras. With a background in engineering, sustainability, and economics, she brings a unique perspective to every endeavor, and she's always eager to embrace new experiences. Please join me in welcoming Rosario Alvarenga. Rosario, it's a real pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome.
Hello, Juan Pablo. Okay, first of all, thank you for that introduction. It almost made me cry. I was like, wow. So thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm very happy that you are here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks. Actually, I came back from the summer break, but also just quit my job. So to be honest, every day I'm like, okay, I'm happy that I made that decision, and I'm currently working on, building a career that I will enjoy,
Wow, that's very good. I guess the long mornings are more than welcome.
Yes. The slow mornings are more than welcome now.
Yeah. Where are you at?
Right now, I'm back home in Honduras, Tegucigalpa, more specifically the city name, in case no one have ever heard of it, Tegucigalpa, Honduras.
Yeah, I believe you became an aunt.
Yeah.
How is the new family member?
He's doing really well. Well, my sister now sends pictures, but it was nice to really, as they say, it takes a village to raise a child. And I experienced that last weekend because my sister really was counting on us with taking care of her biggest son while she was giving birth. So that was really special to be with my little nephew, the other one, and try to make him feel, special while his parents are away receiving the other baby. So it's been really nice. And I haven't seen him again in a couple of days, but he reminded me I have to go visit. So I will do that today.
You should. But congratulations.
Is
this the second time you're an auntie?
No, the fifth time.
The fifth time. Wow.
Yeah, I have many siblings, so there's a lot of possibility. I have 7 siblings, so a lot of room to have many nieces and nephews.
Are you a good influence on your nieces and nephews?
Okay. Well, I hope so. I hope so. But I don't know. One of my nieces, she now really likes art, and I'm really passionate about art. And so I think I have influenced that on her because she always tells me like, I like how you paint. I want to paint like you. And I'm like, oh, one day, child, you shall. So yes, I hope so. I hope to be.
So at least you're a good influence on one.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So I would love to hear what have you been up to since you left the SASI program 5 years ago?
Okay. So, well, it has been a bit of a change of everything. So after leaving the SASI program, we had to do like an internship. So I did an internship back in France with a youth association. So it was called Youth ID. and it was like
Mm-hmm.
young people working for young people. I really liked the idea, and it was
Mm-hmm.
about working with young people around, the Mediterranean, North Africa, etc., to help them, like empower them to be leaders in their communities, discover projects they
Mm-hmm.
were passionate about, and do something about that. So that's where I discovered, and like, wow, I really want to keep working with young people. And then I came back home for a year
Yeah.
because there was, with the SASI program, there was a possibility to do a double degree with Norway. But since COVID happened, I couldn't do it right
Mm-hmm.
after the SASI program was over. So I had to
Yeah.
wait. I had to postpone it 2 years, but that was amazing because I could stay one more year with friends in Paris, and we
Yeah.
made unforgettable memories. And then the next year, I was doing this freelance job, so mainly like I worked as a digital marketer for
Mm-hmm.
different companies, and also what else? Did art commissions, which I really love, and that's mainly what I
Cool.
did the year between SASI and then Norway. And then I went to Norway to study more.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was similar to the SASI program, but more like broader. It was more like on the economic level. So yeah, how to you know tackle sustainability issues on a national level. But I also, you could choose your courses.
Mm-hmm.
So I focused on the social aspect. I think that's the part that always called more to my heart, more than the
Yeah.
environmental one, which I know is very important. But I know a lot of people are already working in the environment, and I think coming from Honduras, I see that the most pressing issues, the ones you see day to day when you go out, are the social ones. And it's like a
Yeah.
vicious cycle. You need to take care of both in order for both to improve in sustainability, but also to improve in
Mm-hmm.
the social situation of people. So yeah. And what else? Then I came back and I was looking for a job. In the meantime, I worked with, well, my sister has like a project, so she produces some products, seasonal products, and I helped her with
Yeah.
that, because I studied industrial engineering. And then I found this job with in the human resource department of a company that was like a group of companies. That's the last thing I did before quitting. So they
Very
had
different.
different. They had like a different type of companies. They were distributing like beauty products. Then they have like real estate, and then like the construction company. So it was very diverse.
Yeah.
And then this company had never had a human resource department. So it was very interesting
Well.
because my job was basically to help my boss to build up like the department and start doing like the things we had to do, identify the needs of the different teams, and also the whole teams, how they could collaborate better. To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
it was very interesting. I really liked it. But the thing is that the conditions, it's something that I like, but not, how can I say, what I want to be doing the whole time. And sadly, the conditions, like the
Mm-hmm.
working hours, were very long. So I felt like I have other passions that I couldn't dedicate my time to, because I tried while I
Yeah.
was working, but I could see it was not compatible. So, well, long story short, I decided to quit because at the same time I was like thinking about this. I didn't like mention this to my colleagues, like, I have a lot of passions, but due to the long
Yeah.
schedules, I cannot really dedicate my time to it. And then like 3 times, my colleagues who are now in their like mid 40s, I remember they took the time to advise me and another colleague who were the youngest. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they were very emphatic in telling us, like, pursue your passions, like this is the
Yeah.
time to take risks. Really, like now we cannot do it because uh but I do think they still can do it, and I hope they do follow their passions. But I know it's more difficult with
Yeah.
the family and everything. But still, they were doing that, like they were almost nostalgic, like telling us, "Please, you
Mm-hmm.
still have time. Do it, like do it for us." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, I haven't. This is something I've had in my heart, and I haven't commented this with my colleagues, but they're still taking the time to do it. Every once in a while, they would stop work and be like, Rosario, Andy. Like we were two of us, so they were like, please, please follow your dreams. Don't stay here
Uh,
forever. And I was like, okay, this means something, and I agree with them. So then I decided to quit because yeah, my brother was getting married in another country, so I was like, this is the time, this is the moment. I also didn't have any vacations left, so I was
uh-huh.
like, okay, now or never,
Wow.
and
So how long did you spend working there in this group?
a year. I was like, I started and I was like, okay, I'll stay here for a year to try to do some of the things
Yeah.
we had as objectives with my boss, and thankfully, like thanks God, we managed to finish those projects, and then the rest we found someone to substitute me, and she's great. She was perfect for the part. We found her 2 weeks before me leaving, so it was amazing timing. And yeah, I mean, to maybe not amazing to do all of the onboarding, but at least
Yeah.
he he was someone who had 20 years of experience in human resources and the human resource department, and she had a great attitude to tackle the challenges. So it was great. It was a good finish. We ended up in good terms, and I think like yeah, I left at a high.
And
So I was
it's
glad
good
to
to
with that.
yeah,
I
it's
was
good
happy
to
it
leave on
ended
a
well.
high note.
Yes.
Yeah. And when you were so if I understand correctly, this was a group that was working multiple activities and they didn't have a human resource department.
Yeah.
How big was the company?
It had like 360 something employees.
Wow. That's a very large number. Like how did you feel when you were okay, I'm ready to try this out? Be an HR for a place with that needs to organize 360 employees.
Yes. To be honest, it was amazing because the way it happened was like the perfect timing. I went to a conference. It was about solidarity, but it was interesting because it was not like the typical solidarity. It was a lot of the people that presented were people that presented how they practice solidarity through their companies and with their employees. So it was more like
Hmm.
about human resources, like how through human resource they try to, provide a good life for their employees, but not in the typical way, but also like giving the extra mile, maybe giving a taking care of personal development as well, like how to improve family life, which are things that I, you know, haven't seen or heard of in other companies, apart from, of course,
Hmm.
taking care of work-life balance and other things, but also like helping people with their family situation and everything. So I was like, this is beautiful. And that's where I met my boss. And I was like, when I realized she was
Hmm.
like the manager of the human resource department of her company, I was like, she should pay attention. This is great to apply to her company. And then she was like, Rosario, would you like to work with me? And I was like, okay. And
Yeah.
so then it was not her, but the two of us that had to implement those things that we heard. So I don't
Okay.
know. I think I didn't really think about the challenges. I was just like, I think it felt purposeful. So that's
Hmm.
something I think in many of the SASIs as well are looking for in their professional life, not only to have earn a living, but also do something with purpose. So for me, that's how it felt. Like it would be something with purpose. Of course, it brought a lot of challenges. At least for the first
Hmm.
6 months, I was like, "What is this?" So I was like, "Okay, yeah." I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do a whole year, but that's it. I don't see because yeah, first because of the other thing, the passions I was telling you about, but other situations as well. But looking back, it was wow, an amazing blessing that I grew through which I grew a lot, especially I think when the challenges make you grow a lot. And
Yeah.
wow, I appreciate that really. I feel like I'm not the same Rosario 1 year ago than I am now, especially professionally speaking, thanks to this job. So yes, it was a challenge, the whole situation, but it was great.
When you've been challenged, like what did your day to day look like?
Okay. So, well, I, I don't know why the song of Kesha came to my mind. Like, wake up in the morning, still in
Yeah.
my city. Sorry, I think
Yeah.
in song. So I don't know. And well, so woke up in the morning, not slow mornings, very
Yeah.
rushed mornings, and then I went. So this was like a very traditional Honduran company in the sense that it was a family company, not my family. It's funny because whenever I say it was a family company, people are like, ooh,
No.
and I'm like, not my family. It was another person's family company.
Yeah.
And then the thing is that what this means is like, for example, in Honduras, there are other companies that are, how do you call this? Right now, I don't have the word in my head. Multinational. So
Yeah.
those companies have, better conditions for the workers. They have like work from home, which now sounds normal in other countries, but in Honduras, only multinationals have like working from home, better working
Wow.
hours, and other flexibilities. But sometimes, not all, but like companies that are family owned, they really stick to the law. And for example, if something is legal,
Mhm.
they take it as, okay, that's what we have to do. For example, in Honduras, working hours, like the legal is 44 hours max a week. So they take
Yeah.
it as this is what it has to be. Not they don't consider it can be less, because it's better for the employees. Or like working from home is something we can do, to save the employees 4 hours of traffic every day and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I those were things. Well, going to the office every day and then really like every month, sorry, my boss had like projects. So that was the
Mhm.
interesting part. It was not routinary. It was like every month she had projects she wanted me to tackle based on the needs of the department. So like, now we want to move on in implementing this and that. Let's try to do it or do a proposal for the owners so we
Mhm.
can do this. And also the part that I enjoyed the most was that I had to meet with the different teams. So it was like 23 teams
Yeah.
and well, and
Wow.
they had different dynamics and everything. But that's where I learned like you really learn the more. And that's something I learned in the CSR class I took, one of the CSR classes I took, but that you really need to make solutions and build solutions with the people that are involved and not, as someone apart, like thinking you know everything. Because I remember in CSR, they would say, like, why do projects fail in developing countries, for example, like when multinationals they want to remediate the impact they have.
Yeah.
They sometimes they just have like an engineer or their teams sitting in an office, making up a plan for the remediation project in this country, but then they don't work. Why?
Mhm.
Because they don't work with the people. And like the best projects work when you involve the people who know their needs to the fullest and like the best solutions. Usually people already have the solutions in their heads. And
Yeah.
that's what the great experience I had in the company as well. Like it was really just listening to them and they came up with amazing solutions. And also you could see with when you met all of the teams, like the intersecting problems and the solutions that would benefit all of them. And like,
Yeah.
and yes, I don't know, I really learned a lot of how the small things have a big impact on the employees, things that sometimes owners don't value, because they think are going to be a waste of money or time, but really
Mhm.
making people feel value because who they are as humans and taking care of their rest and their family time. Wow, you really
Yeah.
can achieve to have loyal employees and people that feel more satisfied with their work. I don't know. So yeah, day to day job was like tackling the different projects, analyzing, like trying to do a diagnosis of what the different teams needed and trying to create plans and working, presenting to the managers and doing like from the human resource department what we had to do, like what was in our hands to do. And
Yeah.
trying to follow up with the managers like, okay, this is what's in your hands to do with for your teams, and following up like, hey, are you doing this or that? So yes, in the end, what we ended up doing was like a whole master plan for the human resource department, and like,
Uh-huh.
like including like the 1 year plan, 2 year plan, long term, etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
one of the challenges was, as I was telling you, like since it's a family-owned company, sometimes like the older generations, they are more, how can I say, reserved with new initiatives because they think like, okay, no, we have always done this way. But what we forget is that new generations come and new
Yeah.
generations have different expectations for their life. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question. I think I said a lot of things, but that is what I wanted to share.
That's great. Actually, you touch upon something I haven't heard in a very long time, which is different generations within one company.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, you mean grandparents, parents, sons, uncles? Like, when you mean a family company, how big
Huh?
is the family working in the company?
Okay. When I mentioned different generations, I meant more like the employees and their expectations. But
Oh, I see.
but I'm gonna answer your question. So
I thought it was a succession story.
also, there's a succession story, but well, the company has actually been like almost since the founding fathers of Honduras because they have like history books and everything, and then like the early buildings in the city center, this family owned. And but yes, it has been around for I don't know 100 years. Like the company, it
Wow.
has developed, and they have added new like branches or business
Yeah.
branches and everything. But they started doing like buildings, so they built things, and then through marriage and things like that, new people came to the family and they were like, oh, now we should invest in this, na na na. So yes, right now
Yeah.
they like the generation they're about to retire. So now like the new generations are coming, but actually they're not a lot of people. They're like what?
Okay.
So yeah, like everyone, I think that happens in family businesses. Like the new generation start building their own life that's not linked to the
Mm-hmm.
family business. So yeah, that's something I hadn't thought about. But actually, like the new generation that we're talking about is basically one person because the
Okay.
rest of the people are doing their own thing. But I think yes, still like the managers are not part of the family of this family that owns the company. It's more like other people that have been, you know, growing inside of the company. I think yes, that's something I never heard. Like the succession drama, it was more like, "Hey guys, come work for the company," but
Yeah.
people doing their own thing. But yes, but the other generation thing I was talking about was more like in one company, you see the difference in mentality with like, you know, older generations. They're fine working long hours, maybe not having a lot of work-life balance because that's how it's been their whole life. But then you have like the people in their 20s, even like early 30s, like, hey, I do value more and I want to have more time for, my personal stuff or for my
Yeah.
family. So you see that, during the meetings, you could see that these generations were the ones like really asking for more flexibilities and everything. And the older generations were more like, no, I just want to be, my job to be recognized, and things like that.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see the needs and the desires of the different generations.
Yeah. It seems very insightful. And so you mentioned while you were describing what you did that some of the multinationals have like different practices
Yeah.
from what Honduran companies do. Did you feel that CSR, especially with your background on working abroad, it's the same situation? It's very different, the CSR that Honduras has in comparison to other experiences?
Well, yes. So as I told you, in multinationals, no, I think they try to work for, provide that work-life balance
Yeah,
and give back more time and flexibility to the employees. But in the situation of the family-owned companies, sadly, CSR is more seen as something. How can I say this? To for PR, like for publicity, like let's look
yeah,
good in front of. I'm speaking in general. Maybe some. I'm not saying all of them don't really care, but in general, that's the approach they have, like more like, okay, let's plant some trees and then let's post about it, and but when it comes more on the environmental side, but they don't really have like a very deep, how can I say, they don't analyze more deeply like how through the business activities themselves they can really have a better impact, or at least reduce the negative impact they're having with their activities on the community, the environment,
Yeah.
and society. So they don't really have someone working on this. Maybe some are, but most aren't. And also the part of the employees, they like the approach to human research is more like, okay, we comply with what's required by law, but then really carry like, oh no, like we're working with human beings and we need to provide an excellent, quality of life for them, because this is not just for solidarity, but we're doing it
Hmm.
because it's going to be good for the company. I think that vision to see like really if your employee is doing well, it's really going to directly impact and benefit the company. People don't have that conscience. But as I told
Okay.
you, I'm saying in general, that's the impression I've had. But I know that some companies, family owned companies, are trying to improve on these aspects, you know. But in
Yeah.
general, it hasn't been the rule in the past year. But I'm
I
hoping,
see.
especially like the company I was in, my boss was really, that was her focus, like try to improve the life quality of the employees, and I think she's gonna make it. So there's hope, Honduras. Yes.
We will be right back.
SASI alumni, we want to hear from you. Join the next season of Keeping Up with the SASIs and share how you're making a difference. Fill in the form in the show notes, and let's turn your experience into inspiration.
Hey Sassy grads, it's your Sassy Alumni Hub, and we are bringing together every single cohort from the very beginning right up to the latest, connecting alumni and current students. We hold periodic events throughout the year that you won't want to miss. To get updates and invites, it's super simple. Just make sure you're registered on the official HEC alumni platform. That's how we reach you. So don't wait, join us.
Welcome back.
You left the company to have some holidays and then trying to pursue a career you're passionate about. What were
Yes.
all the long hours keeping you away from?
I'm really passionate about art, and I don't see it. I discovered last year because last year I had some like artistic commissions. People like told me like, "Hey, can you restore this a statue that I have?" Or, "Hey, can you help me paint this logo
Oh,
on this wall?" Things like that. Or I don't know, like can you help me paint this baby's room? So I was like, while I was doing those different projects, I really felt I got into a flow state, and I felt, wow, this really makes me enjoy my time, and I think I'm good at it, and I think I do something that's tangible, like I can see the
yeah.
final result. I think that's what I like about doing art, that you finish a product and then you see the result and you're like, oh, I helped do that, and it's nice. So the thing is that, yeah, so I really realized with these projects that I want to make art part of my career. Maybe not a full time, because I
Okay.
discovered I don't really see myself doing something full time, because I enjoyed my job, as I told you. I felt
Yeah.
it was purposeful, but I realized that I don't really see myself doing anything full time, in the sense that I have different interests. So I feel like if I do something full time, for example, if I did art full time, if I was a full time artist, I would feel like, hey, but I'm also interested in like sustainability and CSR. So what am I going to do
Yeah.
with my knowledge on it? So yes. Also, like before starting this job, I was offered like to give classes in like the
Okay.
university. So to give some courses, but it was not going to be compatible with my working schedule. So I couldn't take on the offer. And
Mhm.
I realized also when I worked at Youth ID with young people, like really ideas are powerful. And I think I studied sustainability and well, social innovation, SASI. But I feel like for me personally, the way I feel I can put all of the knowledge we acquired and make it fruitful is sharing it with others, because then it's gonna be multiplied. And I felt like
Yeah.
working for a company, then hopefully if that company is open, I can try to have an impact through that company. But then I felt like I'm gonna be sharing my knowledge with this one company. Well, if I'm teaching other people and sharing my knowledge with other people, then it's gonna be many students that are gonna go to different places and multiply that knowledge. So yeah. And I've had the experience before giving talks in classes. For example, maybe some people will invite me like a guest speaker to
Yeah.
give a talk to their students. And that's where I realized, well, I really like this and I would like to
Yeah.
keep doing it. So those are two things, like art, to be able to continue doing the art commissions and to give classes. And then I would like to. I realized I really enjoyed like what I did in my job, as I told you, but I would love to do it more on like a project basis, not like a full time job.
Okay.
And well, I hope I. So with the first two, I already have art commissions on the line on
Yes.
a queue. So thankfully, I that's going on. Then I would like to try to give classes again to see if they would
Uh-huh.
still take me. I had to come back like, hey, now I'm available.
Oh,
And then hopefully, and then, yeah, I think I will try to look for those projects. That's what I'm applying to. Like I've seen some projects that are more like, we're looking for a freelancer to do this, but it's more like short term project based. And, and yes, because that was also like sort of what I did through my job. It was more like project based. And
mhm.
and thankfully, well, I received good feedback from the managers. They even said, I thought you were leaving because you were gonna do more of this by yourself, you know? You were
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
do other projects on your own." So I was like, actually no, but thank you for believing in me. And now they gave me that idea. And that's what I'm gonna try to do for now. That's what I have envisioned to work on this second half of the year.
Going into the freelance aspect of
Yeah.
life,
Uh-huh.
I heard from the beginning of our conversation that you were a freelancer during COVID.
Yeah.
What do you think, or what were the things that that make you think like this is the right setup for me for my professional career? Like, is it flexibility? Is it curiosity with every new project? What is behind the life of a freelancer that you are pursuing?
It's both of those things, like the flexibility and yes, the curiosity for doing new things. First, the flexibility, because something I realized, well, before starting to work after Norway, I didn't find work right away. I spent some months without working, and when I started working, I realized, okay, still, even though these are long hours and everything, I would rather be working than not doing anything, because that's where you realize,
Yeah.
like, as humans, it's really important for your mental health and everything. And to feel like you have a purpose in life to work.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, and there's different types of works, of course, but I realized that definitely I don't want to go back to not working. That's something I knew while working. I was like, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not like I would rather just be in my room doing nothing. But the flexibility aspect really killed me. It made me feel trapped, like having to not being able to manage my time
Yeah.
during the day, and sometimes like the long hours. I really felt like I could do things in a shorter amount of time. But since we had a fixed schedule, it was not like, okay, do this on your pace, and when you're done, you can go home. And I feel like as a
Yeah.
freelancer, you can manage your time. Like if you need to take more time to do something, you take more time. But if you can do it in a shorter time, then you have the rest of the time to do something else. And with this job, I felt like I was also starting to do things more slowly and like unconsciously, because I felt like, and I saw other people around me were also doing that too. Like people were very like, it was also demotivated to know like, okay, we still have to be here until 6 p.m., So they were not very efficient because they were like, we have the whole day. And then,
Yeah.
so yes, the flexibility aspect is something I wanted to be able to manage my time, especially the time to spend with others. Like something I really appreciated was in the mornings. That I appreciate now is being able to have breakfast with my parents who recently retired. And because when I was a
Cool.
child, it's not like we really had breakfast together, you know? So
Yeah.
that's something special. And then really, yes, I told you, I feel like I have different interests, so I cannot be doing the same thing the whole day. And I think pursuing like a freelancer life, I can invest and get into different projects, you know? I know
Yeah.
there's always this uncertainty because you constantly have to be looking for something to do, you know. It's not like with
Yeah.
a fixed job, then you know you're gonna have this job if you perform at least, and if there's no like cutting of
Financial process.
personnel.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but yeah. Conclusion, what you said. I value the flexibility and the ability to get into different types of projects and learn more about different things. So that's why I would like to pursue this freelancer life. At least try, you
That's
know. I don't know what's going to happen in 5, 10, 20 years, but at least try and not stay with the what if. You know, what if I had tried? What if I,
yeah.
had taken the risk? And that's something I don't know. I saw a movie. It's very interesting how movies impact your life. But I saw a movie where an old lady was like, what if? Like, she was saying, like, let's not live with the what if.
Yeah.
So that always stuck with me since I was in high school, like the what ifs. And I realized I never want to stay with the what ifs, you know, because if not, you
Yeah.
can beat yourself up and, oh, I bet if I have done this, it would have worked out perfectly. And sometimes, no, you try and it didn't work out. And you're like, oh, okay, that's not what I was expecting. But now I know and I'm not going to beat myself up. Or it worked better than you expected. So, yeah, don't stay with that what ifs. That's something that I try to remind myself.
Honestly, having met you, I think it's one of the traits that you show to everyone.
Thank you.
So it sounds that you have already managed to get some commissions in the sense
Yeah.
that of your art or with other projects. How did you find your clients?
Okay. I think that's when you see you're passionate about something when you're willing to get out of your way or doing something you didn't think you would do for the sake of getting to do what you do. So what I mean is like especially with the art, I would just tell people, well, I started with my family. So I think it's good to start with people that know you or friends. And I would tell them like, hey guys, if you want me to paint anything, I'm available. So I would come to them and be like, do you want me to paint your wall? Like if, for example, my
Yeah.
sister, she was having a baby and I was like, do you want me to paint your wall? I can do it. And she was like, okay. And then I hadn't done it before, but then you see when you're like interested and curious about, okay, how can I do this design with this materials, etc. And then
Yeah.
there's a place I go and I saw there were like remodeling different rooms in this building. And I
Uh-huh.
reached out and I said like, hey, maybe I would advise to do this. Like if you're trying to look for clients and if you maybe sometimes can offer to do something even for free, just for them to see how you work, you know? So I remember I
Yeah.
reached out when I saw they were remodeling this building and it's a place like a club for girls and everything. So I told them like, hey, I like to paint walls and
Yeah.
so I'm willing to do it for free. Like you buy the materials and everything, but I can do it for free in case you would like me. I volunteer in case you would like me to
Yeah.
paint something. And then they were like, ah yes, thank you. Could you do like this logo on this wall, etc. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I had never done a logo before, but that's when you see, as I once again, I was passionate about it. So I was like, see, like how I could do it. And then it ended up, wow, thanks God, it ended up like the results were great. And they were like, oh, wow, okay, now can you help us with this other wall? And then they were saying like, we want someone to paint this painting for us. Like, we're gonna pay you. Could you do it?
Yeah.
And then with the sculpture, which is I had also never restored a sculpture before. I don't remember how that one happened, but it was more like offering your work if you see there's an opportunity in order for other people to see how you work, and then you have it's like it's not really like it's like investing in your own propaganda because then they have it there
Yeah.
and people can ask who did it, and then also just taking on the opportunities. I think ah now I remember. Sorry, I have forgotten about how this happened. So my dad had like a sculpture that he wanted me to restore. So I restored it. And it was the perfect timing because I was working in my living room and my dad had some people over and I didn't finish on time to take away like the sculpture. So they came and they saw it and they were like, "Oh wow, I really like how you did it. I have like
Yeah.
8 sculptures that I would like to repair. Would you be willing to do it?" And I was like, "Yes." So it was amazing the way it happened because I was
Yeah.
supposed to take it away. My parents were like, "Hey, we're gonna have visits, so please take it away." But I didn't finish on time. And then they saw it and they were like, "Hey, would you like to do it for us?" And so, yeah, long story short, I would say, like, if you see an opportunity, like offer your work to other people, like be
Hmm.
active and be like, "Hey, I could do this for you. I see you have an empty wall. Do you want
Yeah.
something over there?" Or also like working for free, at least in the beginning to make your work known. I think that's also a good idea, you know,
Yeah. Like a
for
sample.
people to trust your work. Yeah, like a
Yeah.
sample. Because if people haven't seen how you work, then they're not gonna be just jump in and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna pay you right away to do this for me." But if they have already seen your work, then it's at least in the beginning, you know. So that's what worked for me right now.
Yeah.
Yes, and reach out to family and friends. I think that's the best first uh, thing.
I think you're very lucky because you have seven siblings.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So it's true. Like some of my clients have been my sisters. So, but yeah, it's great. But if you don't have many siblings, maybe you have cousins and uncles and aunts. So you can reach out to
Yeah.
them.
No, that's great. And honestly, very interesting. And I'm very curious, how do you restore a sculpture? Like, what type of sculpture were you restoring? Was it like a metal sculpture, stone sculpture?
Okay, so the sculptures are made of plaster. I believe that's the material. So it's not like marble or hard stone or metal, but like mainly people paint on them. So the type of restoration I do is not like how can I say, the museum one where you try to preserve the original state, because no,
Hmm.
it's more like do it all over, like I have the
Yes.
sculpture, so usually they're not in very good state at all, so it's not really like you can just restore it like paintings, but more like, okay, I have to again put like a white coat on it and then try to paint it again, and yeah. So we make it new, but that's how I do it. And it has been religious sculptures, so like
Yeah.
tall sculptures, like of the Virgin Mary and things like that, that they have on display, maybe on churches or other places. So yeah, it was really nice, to be honest. Like the Inception story, I remember, well, in Europe, you have beautiful churches and
Yeah.
with beautiful paintings and images and everything. So I remember before coming back from Norway, I would go into a church and I saw all of this beautiful art and I would get inspired. And I was like, oh man, like I really wish I could do this, And
Yeah.
well, the prayers were heard, man, because I came back and then I had these commissions without looking for them. So I was like, yeah, it was good.
Wow. It's honestly a very cool retransformation of your life. Trying to trying to discover these passions that honestly I think very few people have the skills to do it. So it's very cool. So
Thank you, man.
actually, I have seen your drawings. Your style, I particularly found it very soothing. When did you started
Oh,
drawing?
thank you. Well, when I was in first grade, my mom would take me
Okay.
to art classes. Yeah,
Uh huh.
my mom would take me to art
You were
classes, and I
a
remember,
prodigy.
uh-huh. No,
Yeah.
I wish, but no. My mom just saw like I like to draw. So in my free time, I would be drawing while watching TV. And she was like, okay, I'll take you to art class. But then I didn't like to go. So it was thanks to my mom and my teacher who was like, keep bringing her, even if she doesn't want to come. But I didn't want to go because I was a bit lazy.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm happy that my mom was persevering, made me persevere, and yeah, that's where I learned. And my teacher was amazing. She really had the gift because she was patient, but she also was curious. So it was not like the typical art class of, yeah, just paint. No, like every year was different because she came up with different techniques that she taught everyone for us to be able to apply according to our age. So, yes, I've been painting since I was in first grade. I didn't appreciate it that much until actually I stopped for many, many years. And well, the paintings you have seen were more for fun, but I have tried to do something more elaborate. But
Yeah.
yes, after starting to work, I rediscovered like, no, I really like this, because it was no longer someone forcing me to do it,
Yeah.
but out of my interest to do.
And what do you like about painting itself?
Okay, I think it might sound cliche, but the ability to do something new. Like I really get excited when I see like an blank canvas or a white page. I just really like the feeling when I have like a white page or canvas in front of me and then a set of markers or paintings because I know this is gonna sound like a Pinterest quote, but there's endless possibilities, of what you can do. And I really like colors and I love how art, not just in paintings, but really, especially you can see in Europe, like on the streets and everything, like the street lamps, the bridges, everything has art, like the little details. Like maybe once, especially after World War II, people started this movement, architectural movement, where they thought like any decoration was useless. So we just have to make
Mhm.
things functional. But really, you can see it's not useless. Like really art elevates
No.
the soul and elevates the spirit. And when you're surrounded by beauty, that really has an impact on how you feel and you feel beautiful yourself. I have to tell you the moment in my life when I felt the most confident and great
Yeah.
was no now, but living in Paris, it was very easy to feel confident and great because you're surrounded by beauty and we don't see ourselves, we just see our surroundings. So
Yeah.
you feel like you're as beautiful as your surroundings. So I I really feel like people say like, what's the use of all of those ornaments and street lamps and bridges and buildings? But really, it really elevates the soul. Like really art, I think that's why it was very important in old times with the Greeks and, you know, old architecture for a reason because they really saw like the impact it had on people. And I don't know, you can see in churches. I'm always amazed. Like nowadays you see people with their phones and it's difficult for people to look away, but then you enter a church in Rome or other city and you see how people, okay, apart from taking their picture, they are in awe, just contemplating. And that's what our art can do, to take you out of yourself to something bigger. And
Mhm.
I don't know. Right now, I don't consider that's the type of art I do yet, but I would like to do that, like that type of art. To be honest, if I was a mayor, one day I become the mayor of my city, I would bring art to the streets because really, I saw the impact on myself, and
Uh-huh.
by living in a city that's beautiful, and it's really also it has an impact on the well-being of people, and people have dignity, and part of that, respecting that dignity and protecting it, is also taking care of that their surroundings are, you know,
Yeah,
good and appropriate for someone that has dignity, which are the citizens. So yeah,
I think
that's why I like art.
I think you touch upon many things. Where do you you mentioned the ambition to go to be able to improve your art. How are you improving your art? Are you just learning by doing, or are you taking classes, courses? Do you try to follow up other artists? What's your process?
Okay, I think yeah, as you said, learning by doing. To be honest, I hadn't done any of the things I like the projects before, like trying to paint a logo, an exact logo on a wall, or repaint the sculpture and everything. But I think, yeah, I just try to do it. I jump to the adventure to try to do it, and I watch videos. If I don't know how to do something, that's great that we live in these times where other people are just publishing what they do, and that's whenever I don't know how to do something, I on YouTube, I'm like, okay, how can I do this? Or I watch videos, or I just ask on internet, or if I go to a place where I buy the materials, I ask, okay, how should I use this specific material, etc. But the way I get inspired is the people I follow on Instagram or YouTube. Really, whenever I'm just scrolling and I see them restoring things or painting walls right now, I don't know if you've seen, maybe it's just my algorithm, but it seems like everyone is just remodeling their homes, like DIY, not paying someone, but they're like, we bought an old abandoned house and we are
Yeah.
rebuilding it ourselves. And then you see these people just doing everything by themselves, redoing everything by themselves. So that's where I get my inspiration from. I'm like, oh, yeah. I think especially right now, I like as I told you, like painting walls or remodeling interiors. I even considered that once because I feel like, yeah, if if you are in a space that you feel good, then that's great. Especially you can see it in cafes and things like that. Where do people like to go the most? Like places that feel cozy and welcoming or are nicely decorated. So yes, that's conclusion. That's how I get inspired by the people I follow, through the people I follow on Instagram and YouTube to see their work. And I'm like, I want to do that as well.
That's very good. Do you feel that your experience in Norway shape your style, or your experience in Paris also shaped the style of your work?
I think, yes, definitely more Paris because, well, when they rebuilt the city, they did an amazing job with the World Expo when they built like the Eiffel Tower, but they also did like Pont Alexandre Spatiel, and then they did the Grand Palais and all of this.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
did beautiful things to present to the world, and you can see beauty in the small details of the city with the water fountains, the lamps, the metro signs. So that's where I was like, I got inspired more like to be like, one day I would like to do that in my city. Like I saw the importance of art, that I
yeah.
didn't see
Okay.
before. Like what's the importance of beauty and art in the cities, in the
Uh-huh.
way in the buildings especially. And yeah, when I went to museums, I was like, when I heard with the audio guides about the stories of the artists, I was like, wow, I when I go to museums, the feeling I get is not like just admiring what people do, but more this like, ah, I also want to do this. I would also like
Yeah.
to be doing something like this. And then Norway, well, Norway has had a relatively recent development story. So the cities are not as ornamented as Paris, because they
Uh-huh.
used to be like the poorest of the Nordic countries, but then they found oil and then they became rich. So their development has been more recent and the styles are more modern. So it was not as much like on the streets that I was like, wow, art everywhere. But I think Norway shaped me more in like in different aspects. Not maybe not in art, but more like the life I wanted to pursue because they do have more like work life balance. So I saw how both mom and dad had more time to spend with their children,
Uh-huh.
go hiking and have different hobbies. So I was like, okay, I once you experience that lifestyle or see others living firsthand, then it's a bit difficult to try to settle for a different lifestyle. But
Yeah.
yes, I think every experience shapes you. So Norway shaped me in other ways, especially in like the social aspect, because the classes I decided to take were more on like CSR,
Yeah.
and human rights in business and things like that. So yeah, it made me realize I wanna also focus on that aspect when I went back home.
Uh-huh. I see. One last question that I had. It was you decided to come back to your home country right after you finished your education. Why was that?
Well, because I never saw myself doing a corporate job. And I felt like when I was there and everyone was applying to jobs, I still remember that first week that I was like, okay, it's time to start applying to jobs. And I just felt super depressed. So I felt like there's nothing I see myself doing full time. Like there's nothing that, you know, I yeah, I'm attracted to do. Even I send a lot of applications, but I was like, even to some of the applications, I sent them and I was like, I hope I don't hear back from them. So I was like that sending it. And I realized that that's because even even if it was in Europe, back then I was like, I still don't see like me doing a corporate job. And so yeah, I decided to come back home to try to figure out what I wanted to do and how I could do it. And I think it was great to have this experience of having a corporate job in Honduras with the conditions of this company, because that really was like finally opened my eyes and gave me the motivation I needed to try to pursue and try to make that life work career that I want to achieve, try to make it work and try to work for it. Because before this job, I still felt like maybe it was a bit unrealistic and like no, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And I think this job finally gave me the impulse, like it's either this or you give it a shot at trying to do what you want to do and try to build that career that you want to have. So yeah, that's the reason I decided to come back. And yes, and also when I thought about like the different projects, I felt like in Honduras there's still a lot of things to do. So I felt it was a perfect place to do it. Like
Yeah.
there were more opportunities, I felt. Like since I live
Mhm.
here, but also after living abroad, you see all like more opportunities, like things that are being done in other countries that are still not done here. So I felt like, okay, I there's an opportunity to try to do these things back home,
Yeah, more
you know?
impact. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get it. Have you set up any Instagram accounts or a LinkedIn page or a website where we can see your portfolio of art and or your freelance where people can reach out and track what you're doing?
No, not yet. I have to do that. So it's pending. But yes, I have to set that up because I do realize that if I want more clients, I have to make that portfolio as you mentioned. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do one more work that I currently have uh,
Yeah.
in line, and then I'm gonna set that up. Someone gave me the idea, like people like to see like the process, fast paced, of how the paintings are done. So I'm gonna consider that. But yeah, to start with, I'm gonna do it on Instagram. Yes.
Thank you. Thank thank you, Rosario. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And I'm
Likewise.
looking And I'm looking forward to hear the next chapter and to see everything that you will be doing in your freelance life.
No, thank you very much. It was a very enjoyable conversation, and you asked me questions that really made me ask myself questions. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you for listening and help us maintain our community one episode at a time. We will see you on the next episode. Blessings to you all. The content here is for entertainment and informational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization. Listener discretion is advised. This show may contain sensitive topics or strong language. Use the information at your own risk.